Hello and welcome. In this video, we'll be showcasing the data science deployment functionality in the next generation of Anaconda Enterprise version 5. We'll show how you can encapsulate and deploy projects including live notebooks, interactive applications, and models with REST APIs. So to start off with a motivating example of traditional data science deployment, I'm showing an application I've developed locally on my machine and I'm running from my machine. So in my browser I see a web interface for an image classifier that's powered by TensorFlow and Anaconda, and I can upload an image from my local machine, click upload, and after a few seconds I can see that the image has been classified with a high probability as being a panda, which looks correct to me. So I'd like to show you the code behind this application. There's a little more than 200 lines of Python code, and this is using the TensorFlow machine learning model with Inception, trained on the ImageNet data. Second, I have about 150 lines of Python code for the Flask web interface. And finally, I have a project settings file that defines how I run this application and what packages are required for this application. This Python, TensorFlow, and Flask. So traditionally, what I would do is to take this from my local machine and deploy it in an enterprise context. I would usually work with my IT or DevOps teams, and I would need to provision cloud or bare metal resources, get the right version of Linux installed, and then I need to get system libraries installed along with the appropriate version of Python, Python 2, Python 3, along with the TensorFlow library, the right version of Flask, and to make sure that all the dependencies are resolved. Once I've done that, I'd need to secure my application, add authentication and authorization so that it's not wide open in my organization. I'm going to show you how you can do that with one-click deployment in Anaconda Enterprise. So the first thing is I log into my portal in Anaconda Enterprise. I can see interesting notebooks that I've uploaded, notifications, and recent projects. If I go to my workspace, I can see different data science assets that are associated with my account, including environments, notebooks, interactive applications, and data science projects. These projects are consisting of two main components. So the first component is the application code. That's a notebook or script that I want to deploy. And the second is a project settings file that defines how I run my application and what its dependencies are. So if I click on the ImageNet Flask application, I can see on the right side I have a deploy button. If I click on that context, I have a one-click deployment. This application is now being shipped. The application code and the dependencies are being shipped and launched as a secure and scalable application. So after a few moments, this application will be running on my Anaconda Enterprise deployment server, and it's now available within my enterprise. So this application, I can run and upload an image from my local machine into the deployment server, click upload, and after a few seconds, we'll see if it classifies my image correctly. So after a few moments, I can see that it's classified with high probability that this is a Python, which looks correct to me. So this application is running on the deployment server in its own environment with the right version of Python, TensorFlow, and Flask. I can also share this application with my enterprise authentication users, groups, and roles. And those users, groups, and roles will be able to view and use my application that exists on the deployment server. I can also look at application logs, so I can see if there are any issues with my application or any missing dependencies, so I can redeploy it. Also, if the application goes down, it will automatically be restarted. We handle all of the scalability and security for you. So I'd like to give you an idea of other types of data science projects that you can deploy with Anaconda Enterprise. So I'm going to go through and deploy a number of applications to the deployment server, and then we're going to walk through the live version of those. So first, we'll deploy a live Jupyter notebook with a runnable kernel, one-click deploy. Next, I'm going to deploy a small script with a REST API, one-click deployment. Next, I'm going to deploy an interactive application in Bokeh that visualizes finance data, one-click deployment. It's being sent to the deployment server. You can also deploy R notebooks. So this is a Jupyter notebook running an R kernel. This will be a live notebook, so that's a one-click deployment. And finally, I can deploy Shiny applications that depend on R, so with a one-click deployment. So all of those applications are now being shipped to my deployment server for a secure and scalable application that can be used with other users in my organization. So I'm going to go through each example just to show you what the live version looks like. So this is a Jupyter notebook that uses NumPy, Pandas, and Bokeh to visualize financial data. And a live notebook is very useful here because we can grab stock ticker information and financial data. We can grab the latest data available, and our end users can visualize that without the original notebook creator having to rerun and re-upload the notebook. So end users can always run, get the latest information, interact with the data, and this is what it means to have a live, secure notebook deployed within your enterprise. I can also show a simple script with a Json API server. So in this case, I'm going to pop out this application in a new tab. I can see it has its own secure endpoint with end-to-end encryption and security. And when I click on one of the endpoints, I can see JSON data being returned. So this could be used to return model predictions or really anything you could serve from an API. Next, I'll show an interactive application powered by Bokeh. So this application is running with a live Bokeh server and live Python shell or live Python kernel. What this means is as I change ticker information and select data, all of that's being pulled and queried from the server, and I can see the selection propagates to the other time series as well as the scatter plot. So this means with a live application and a live kernel, you can have other users within your organization exploring and using your applications, or this could be deployed and shared to your end users as well. Another example I want to show is that because Anaconda is the leading open data science platform powered by Python, doesn't mean it's limited to Python. So here I'm showing a Jupyter notebook running with an R kernel. This is a live notebook with a live R kernel running. So we're going to walk through a simple linear regression with visualization. So we're going to import ggplot, the visualization library. We're going to load some sample data, select and fit a model, make predictions, view a summary of the results, and we're going to see a visualization all in the browser. And I can share this with other users in my enterprise that do not have to install anything on their local machine. This is all being presented and run through the Anaconda Enterprise deployment server. This means I can also deploy things like Shiny applications. So all of these applications are powered by Anaconda. They're all live, running notebooks or applications. So you can see as I change the number of observations here, the histogram on the right is updated in real time. So with each of these applications, I can encapsulate and deploy them with Anaconda Enterprise in a secure and scalable way. And this means that it's very easy to share applications to the rest of my data science team for exploratory analysis, or I can share them with end users so they can explore the data on their own securely and in a scalable way across my enterprise.